Not usually into conspiracy theories, but after what we just watched, it's hard not to think there was something fishy going on. The Chiefs came into this game 2-3, and everyone knows if they lost tonight, they'd be in a lot of trouble. Everyone also knows that for years there's been this theory that the refs favor the Chiefs, and that theory has never been more on display than it was tonight. First quarter, first drive of the game, and the Lions have a 4th and goal from the 1-yard line.
And Goff out of there, direct snap, throw to Goff, who gets it and scores a touchdown.
So that's a touchdown, right? It was called a touchdown on the field. The Lions lead 7-0. But no, after the Lions offense had already gone off the field, and minutes later, the refs decided that Goff committed an illegal motion, so they instead took this touchdown away. Very next possession. Now the Chiefs are driving, and it's 3rd and 8. And the Lions are trying to hold them to a field goal. Now watch this man right here. Here he is, center your screen, and watch him hold this Lions defender. Look at this. But guess what? It wasn't called, and it led to a Chiefs TD. But that's not it. Chiefs driving before the half, and this was ruled a catch. And as you can clearly see, the ball is on the ground. And guess what? The Chiefs would go on to score a touchdown on that drive too. And finally, 4th quarter with the Chiefs up 3. Check out this hold right here by Travis Kelce. And guess what? This also was not called. And if you think I'm exaggerating, take a look at this. There were 115 plays run in this game, and the Chiefs were called for 0 penalties. That has only happened 1 time in the last 70 years. So like I said, I don't really do conspiracies, but this is some Chiefs devil magic right here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of places that I want to start in this video when it comes to this Lions game, but I just want to stop right here. Okay. Now, this right here is the most important part that I think makes this very, very clear. Okay. So he said, how many plays was it? Like 150 or something? Let's just see what he said.
115 plays run
115
in this
plays.
game, and the Chiefs were called for 0 penalties.
So for 115 plays, Detroit gets called for some, okay, and the Chiefs get called for 0. That's kind of significant, right? And that the fact that it hasn't happened in 70 years is also very significant. It means that most of the time during a football game with multiple refs on all sides of the field and all these cameras, that someone's going to commit a penalty. Someone's going to they're going to be holding. Someone's going to do things. And they just didn't want to look at the Kansas City Swifties because that wouldn't fit the narrative in the script for the NFL. And this is a super rigged type of freaking game, bro. Anybody with 2 eyes could see what the heck was going on. And what we seen here was that even if the Lions were to continue to make plays, it was going to be extremely hard for them to get ahead. The very first play, the very first drive was erased, okay? Like, think about this, y'all. It was called a touchdown, bro. It was called a straight up touchdown on TV. We all celebrated. We were like, all right, cool, man. Touchdown is in, bro. We there. They called it. And that's when I said, okay, cool. We got it. Let's go to the next thing. Let's kick the field goal. And then they took it back.
Lead 7-0. But no, after the Lions offense had already gone off the field, and minutes later, the refs decided that Goff committed an illegal motion, so they instead took this touchdown away. Very next possession. Now,
so you mean to tell me that we get called for a touchdown? They gave it to us on the board, and then they say, nah. Let's find something to make up. Oh, he did X, Y, and Z. Hurry up, stamp it. And then they bring him back, which causes confusion in our offense because we're like, wait a minute. We just did this entire drive. Then we get like a delay of games. Fine. You can call that on the Detroit Lions. And then it's like, so we got to redo our touchdown play? This is insane, yo. This is absolutely insane. We have had other games where when in the first quarter, our first drive, we get a touchdown. And let me tell y'all something. It sets the pace of the game for us as a Detroit Lions, fan. When that happens, we're up 7-0. We are now in control. And now the game becomes better because if they get a field goal, right, we're still in control. We can still get that, continue going. They knew what they were doing. The refs knew, hey, we got to erase this. We got to hope they get a field goal. This was crazy, man. And the fact that they got 0 penalties, come on, bro. Anybody with a clear freaking head can know that there's a problem here. There's a huge problem. Huge problem. Yeah, we're going to penalize the Lions and blah, blah, blah. Fine. Okay? Maybe there was a real holding call with the Lions. Fine. And to be honest, there should be holdings. There's holding going on with both teams all game. But you don't call it for the Kansas City Swifties. Why is that? Why is that? I said this in my last video, but I laughed at this, man. I said, you know what? I laughed because I said, let's just get this game over with, man. I said, the Lions aren't going to win. You know, once it got to about the second quarter, I kind of was like, you know what? Let's get it over with. Lions aren't going to win this game. It's going to be very tough. We have to literally fight against the refs and the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs kept dumping the ball off in the zone when we were playing zone defense. And he wasn't even tossing the ball down the field. So, like, it wasn't even like a spectacular game from the Kansas City Swifties where it was like, oh, man, we got beat on the deep ball. We got beat on this. They just were just dumping the ball away, getting first downs. We kept getting penalties. That moves the ball forward. And then just to the point where they can then be right in the end zone, right in the red zone. Like, it just got to a point where I was like, all right, wrap this game up. Let's just look forward, man. Let's go ahead. At least we still got a winning record. You know, we're 4-2. Not super happy about the loss, but at least we're 4-2. You know, I think we could beat the Buccaneers. You know, it's going to be a tough game, obviously. But if we can go 5-2, you know, 6-2 or whatever like that, we're still in control in our division. So let's move it forward. We have a tough division, I believe, with Green Bay. The Vikings are kind of like, but I think we have a tougher division. Kansas City Chiefs are beatable, but this game was atrocious. The last thing I want to point out is this Travis Swifty, right? Travis Swifty catches the ball, right? This right here, I definitely seen it, and I was like, man, hold on. I don't think that's a catch, because in any other instance, they would have called this incomplete, bro. Let's go ahead and get closer to it so you can actually see it. So for all the little Swifty fans who are thinking, oh, you guys are coping with a loss, get over it. Look at this garbage, bro. Look at this. So he catches it. He doesn't have full control over it, right? His hand hits the top of it. Like, that's not a catch. Any other instance, they would have called it something else. So that's all I got to say about this video. Let me know what you guys think, right? At the end of the day, this is chess. This is not checkers. I'm going to see y'all at work.